I will start by saying, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to AI. All I know is what I see and what I deal with. In some of the conversation in the law about this, and a lot of my colleagues, a lot of eye rolling, like, oh, they showed up with notes from AI, oh, it's terrible. And you do have to be careful if you are using AI. I'll give you an example of a time I used it. I had to tell a client about how something that was very dry and statutory worked. It was going to take me probably 2 hours to write it. And I dropped the whole thing into ChatGPT and said, okay, I want you to explain this statute as if you were a high school senior to a client. And it went through and it gave me a draft. I said, okay, now take out 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8, because those don't apply. Went through, did it again. When it was done, I edited some. It saved the client hundreds of dollars. It saved me time because frankly, I didn't want to write it. And the point that I come to at the end is it was safe for me to use it because I have such subject matter mastery on that particular thing that I know if it's right or wrong. I just didn't want to do the work. I just want to check the work. Somebody I respect a lot framed it this way: treat AI like an unreliable employee. That's what I did. So if you are a client, a layperson, a sophisticated client, and you are using AI, I have found that clients will come to me having run their problems through AI and basically asking me, what do you think of what AI has presented? And to be honest, it gives us a pretty good framework for the conversation. From time eternal with the internet, doctors, lawyers, any professional, like people show up like, oh, I got this answer on the internet. And that's often frustrating for professionals because it's often off or wrong. I guess the coaching I would give you if you're working with a lawyer and you're using AI is it doesn't work to think that it has presented a comprehensive solution to whatever it is that you're doing. It does work to help you frame your ideas and your questions. And I do think that it has a place and that it improves our interaction and conversation. Other lawyers think, oh, my client used AI. I just think, well, first of all, they're going to use AI. So rolling your eyes and being frustrated and like, oh, everybody's going to use it. Let's make the best of it. Let's make it work for us. And promoting a better conversation, better interaction, that's just better. Saving time, the way I described in the front end, where I'm talking about how I had 2 hours of writing that I condensed into 20 minutes. I charged the client less for the time. I saved the time for myself because I didn't want to do it. Made my job more interesting. This is just nothing but a win, frankly. And as long as you've got the ability, whether you're showing it to your attorney, hey, can you check this? Does this make sense? So whether you've got the ability in yourself to know if it's hallucinating, or whether you've got an attorney who's looking over for you, that's fine. If you take ChatGPT, which aggregates all of the knowledge that just exists on the internet, whether it's refined or not, and just presents you a solution, that could be dead on or it could be wildly off. So it needs to be checked by someone like me to make sure that it is accurate. And just one note, when you're using AI, you have the ability to tell it that it can or cannot contribute whatever you're doing out into the world of, learning by AI. You need to tell it not to. Because if you're putting your business stuff in here and you're asking it questions, AI will know that you had these questions and you were thinking about these issues. And whether that ever comes up in someone else's search or not, I don't frankly know. As the world of the law talks about this, there have been attorneys who dumped their client stuff into ChatGPT, and then the court deemed them to have waived privilege because they just put it out in the public domain. And that's done just out of ignorance. So make sure the internet isn't learning about whatever it is you're asking about. And use it to inform your thoughts, guide your conversation, and refine your thinking, but don't rely on it to give you concrete, solid answers. You think about if you don't turn off the learning component. I'm gonna screw up the vocabulary, so I'm not gonna try. What you contribute either teaches or does not teach, like in the Terminator, when everybody, learned and then it killed us all. That thing. When you are putting things into chat, Claude, or whatever it is you're using, you have the ability, depending on the account you have, and you need one where you can do this, to say it either does or does not contribute to the learning model. And if you put in our context, how do I get my current seller to agree to a lower price for the transaction that I'm in? And you put in all the different negotiating terms and it goes out into the internet. Theoretically, someone could say, for sake of this example, let's say I did it. What does Nate Reardon think about renegotiating the purchase price for this transaction? And it's all there. On a more dramatic example, how do I cover up a murder? How do I murder my husband? How do I like that? You put it in there, it's out in the world if you didn't tell it not to. And someone can find that out, or from a legal perspective, whether it's the terms of the negotiation, whether it's, concealing some crime, there's no privilege anymore. It is not a privileged thought because you have released it into the wild. Be careful. Make sure that you are not contributing your intellectual property, your privileged stuff for the context of us dealing with the legal out into the learning world for artificial intelligence. I think if we frame where we are with AI as something that we can use, it's got its downfall, it's got a downside. We've all seen the Terminator, and well, maybe we haven't all seen the Terminator, but in the Terminator, like the machines decide to extinguish the human race. But there's a lot of possibility for it, and I'm still learning. I have no, like I said, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. If you are watching this and you've got something to contribute, something that maybe I don't know, or maybe you've got a question, stick it in the comments and let's learn together, or you can teach me, because we're all making this up as we go.